Cyberpunk 2077 finally launched last week after 8 long years, and oh boy is there a lot to unpack. We spoke about the game on this week's podcast, so be sure to check that out if you want more of my early impressions and personal thoughts. Long story short though, it's a really great and immersive RPG that's buggy as hell and a total disgrace on console. As I'm writing this, I'm not even sure what kind of video this will be, but there have been so many news stories about the game, so I guess it's just a Cyberpunk roundup. Okay, so where do we begin? Shall we start with some of the more positive stuff? The game has had a monumental launch. Unsurprisingly, it topped the UK physical game sales charts because it's probably the most typed game of all time, but also because everything else moved out of the way to avoid being trampled. This huge day one success has made it the second biggest physical game launch of the year behind FIFA 21. But again, that's only physical copies, and once digital comes in too, it's only going to get bigger. Elsewhere on the biggest physical launches of 2018 list, we've got Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Animal Crossing New Horizons, and Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. The game also broke records on Steam by having the most concurrent players ever for a single player game. The previous record holder was Fallout 4 with 470,000 players, but Cyberpunk absolutely smashed that with over 1 million users playing on the platform. It didn't just break Steam records, it kinda broke Steam itself for a little bit as it was just overwhelmed by players. That number is just for Steam. The game is playable on both Sony and Microsoft consoles, CD Projekt's own service GOG, Epic Games Store, and Google Stadia. So that 1 million players number is actually pretty far from accurate and in reality is much higher. CD Projekt announced on launch day that it had 8 million pre-orders, and while many of those will be Christmas gifts, that's a serious number of people playing on day one. Industry analyst Daniel Ahmad points out that 8 million pre-orders translates to about 500 million in pre-launch revenue, and that GTA 5, the most successful entertainment product ever, earned 800 million based on pre-orders and day one sales. Of those 8 million pre-orders, 74% were digital and 26% were physical, much higher than the 50-50 split CD Projekt predicted. So on that front, it looks pretty damn great for CD Projekt's finances, and all's well with the world. I've been Henry Cooper, I'll catch you next time, bye for now. Oh boy, we're not done yet. Okay. The game has some serious bugs, even on very good PCs and consoles. Oh, Jesus Christ. There are so many issues here that other publishers would get absolutely trashed for, and I'm not giving CD Projekt a free pass, even though I do actually like the game. They need to be held accountable, and if we as gamers don't do it, no one else will. I've seen so many dumbass arguments about the game's performance, it's hysterical. The game will be fixed, just buy it on PC, what did you expect playing on ancient hardware? Yes, bugs can be fixed, but the sheer amount of them on console is going to take a long ass time and a lot of crunch. I've been playing on a brand new PC with a 3080 and an i9, and I'm still seeing loads of problems. Floating objects, clipping, texture pop-in, scripting errors, overlapping dialogue, UI problems, and most importantly, my bare-assed character T-posing through the roof of my car. And that's before you get to design flaws like terrible AI. That's not a bug, it's just poorly designed. None of these issues I faced personally have been game-breaking, but that's not the case for consoles, which is a significant portion of the player base, and plenty of PC players are having crash issues. Most people who bought physical are playing on console, with 60% of the game's sales coming from PS4, 35% on Xbox One, and the remainder on PC. 59% of the pre-orders were on PC and 41% were on console, meaning that over 3 million people were screwed over and directly lied to.
So that was a fucking lie.
I wonder if CD Projekt has ever considered a career in politics. This year has seen more than ever the trend lean much more heavily on digital than physical, but a huge portion of gamers will still buy physical discs, especially console players. People can't just buy a PC to solve the problems for the game they bought and paid full price for. Many of these issues will be fixed over time, and I'm sure in 6 to 12 months it will be incredible, but how many people will still be around then? How much longer is it going to take on the base consoles? Consoles where, again, people paid full price, same price as on PC, and got absolutely shafted. Bethesda, Ubisoft, EA, Activision, Take-Two, they all do the same thing and get dragged over coals, but why not CD Projekt? Over time, and after many, many patches, people will forget all about the bugs, but I won't soon forget how badly this game launched. The release it now, fix it later mentality is one of gaming's biggest issues and keeps happening. Again, my experience has been relatively okay in terms of bugs, but it's still not acceptable. CD Projekt published this statement on Twitter that basically promised to fix all the problems on console and apologized for preventing reviewers for showing people the truth. There's a link in the description if you want to see the whole thing, but the gist of it is,
we are deeply sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry.
This statement isn't going to make anything better, but at least they're acknowledging the issues. Honestly, nowhere near enough people are talking about how unethically CD Projekt handled the reviews for this game. The next step is just to wait for the patches to actually finish the game and get it out of this early access window. The statement also barely touches on the situation for PC gamers, which isn't as bad as it is on console, but for some people it's still pretty damn trash. Patch 1 will come in January and patch 2 will be in February, so basically just don't buy the game until after that, and even then, be wary that not everything will be fixed. One of the game's biggest controversies before launch was the crunch the developers had to go through to get the game even to this sorry state. Crunch is supposed to end once the game launches and you cross the finish line, but in reality, it's going to continue for months more for the programmers and QA staff. Fortunately, CD Projekt has confirmed that staff will still get their full bonuses according to Bloomberg. The original bonus structure was based on the game's performance on Metacritic and it had to get above a 90 on the review aggregator. Currently, the game sits on that knife edge at exactly 90, but studio head and Cyberpunk creative director Adam Budowski said that the staff will still get their bonuses even if it drops below 90. He told staff in an email, "We initially had a bonus system that was focused on the game's rating and the release date, but after consideration, we believe that measure is simply not fair under the circumstances. We underestimated the length and complexity involved to make this a reality, and still you did everything you could to deliver an ambitious, special game." The bonus structure was even more dubious than that and involved collecting tokens awarded by team leaders. Using a bonus system based on the result of a Metacritic score is a ridiculous way to do business, and the site is far from the arbiter of good and bad games. Just look at the constant disparity between critic and user scores, and you can't take either of them seriously. Executives and gamers put far too much stock in a flat number of an unbalanced review aggregator, and using that as your benchmark for a bonus is absurd. Back in 2012, the devs behind Fallout New Vegas missed out on royalties because the game scored just 1 point below the target. It is good to see that the hardworking staff at CD Projekt will still get their bonuses after crunching for so long, but the crunch is far from over. If you're not happy with the game on console, it looks like refunds are possible as Sony is accepting refunds for the game, and Sony is even launching a business complaint against CDPR for all the hassle. Additionally, in CD Projekt's statement I mentioned earlier, they bring up that they will provide refunds and encourage customers to consult their retailers. But according to some posts on Reddit, it hasn't exactly been smooth sailing, as people claim to have waited hours to even get anywhere. Processing those refunds and giving out staff bonuses will hit CD Projekt's finances pretty hard, but perhaps the most significant issue the company faces now is its stock price. Prior to launch, the company's share price dropped 29% on December the 4th, which is likely due to early copies making their way into the wild and showing off how buggy the game was because reviews weren't actually out yet. Even when reviews did launch and the game achieved a very impressive 91 on Metacritic, it dropped again. Launch day for a game should cause a stock boost because you're literally making money, meaning that your company is more valuable, but CD Projekt saw a 7.8% drop. That's undoubtedly due to how the game's performance has been received, and the investors were probably expecting an insane score of like 95 or 97 or something. This is a huge drop compared to August, where the company saw its highest ever peak with an increase of 38% after announcing a Pokemon Go style Witcher mobile game. Oh boy, can't wait for that one. All this is bad news for everyone at CD Projekt, and the devs have my highest sympathies for how hard they still have to work, but I would like to finish on at least somewhat of a positive note. The game is piss poor on consoles, and that is absolutely inexcusable, and how CD Projekt handled the review process is disgusting. The game should not have even come out on last gen, but over time the game will get better. I won't recommend you to buy the game now, but definitely get it next year sometime after those 2 patches, because behind all those bugs there is a really great RPG, and it'll be cheaper for you. The whole thing is a failure of marketing and management, which this meme sums up perfectly. There are times to listen to the fans, and there are times when what's best for the product and art should come first. Ultimately, it's a catch-22 and a lose-lose situation whether they delayed it or released it, but a delay is obviously the lesser of 2 evils. Most will forget about the bugs eventually, but I personally won't forget about how CD Projekt, the most consumer-friendly company in the industry, pulled this shit. I seriously doubt the folks at the top are sinister corporate types like the ones found in Cyberpunk, but their investors are, and the company has got so big to the point where investors are what really matters most. It seems impossible to be a AAA game developer and not be a slave to corporate masters. Despite all these severe issues, I am having fun with the game at just under 20 hours in. When it's not being totally glitchy and weird, it is absolutely stunning on my system. The RPG progression is great and allows for so many different playstyles, the writing is sharp and witty without being too fake edgy, and the voice acting is truly top tier. Oh well, anyway, that's enough from me. I'm gonna go back and play it and laugh at V's T-posing bare ass. Like, subscribe, support on Patreon. I've been Henry Cooper. This has been Pretty Good Gaming. Bye for now. For real this time. Wow, my voice is croaky today.